"Dad, if you don't get rid of that chair for my husband, then you should leave." Those were my daughter's words. Inside the house I bought. In the living room I built with my own sweat. My house. And that chair, made with my own hands. Yet in the end, it became the reason I was asked to leave. That armchair wasn't just furniture. I built it for my wife, while she was fighting her illness. The last gift I ever made for her, before she closed her eyes forever. Since the day she left, that chair was where I sat every night, as if I could still hear her whisper somewhere close by. And now, my daughter, Sarah, wants me to throw it away. Not because it's broken, not because it takes up space, but because her husband can't stand having traces of the past in the house. I looked at her. Her eyes, firm, cold. That wasn't the little girl who once sat on my lap for bedtime stories. That was a woman who had chosen her husband's side, even if it meant pushing her father away. I placed my hand on the armrest. The wood was worn, the fabric old, yet it felt the same as the day I finished it. In my pocket, my wife's old watch ticked, counting down. And I knew this wasn't just about a chair. This was an ultimatum, a line I could never step back from. The room fell silent, so quiet, I could hear my own sigh. I looked up, forced a faint smile, and whispered, "Which side do you think I'll choose?" The words came out soft as air, yet heavy as a hammer. Sarah froze for a moment, but she didn't take them back. And in that instant, I knew. My life had turned a page. I was no longer the father respected in his own home. I was just a guest, on the verge of being cast out by my own blood, all because of a chair. But what Sarah doesn't know is this. That chair doesn't only hold her mother's memory, it holds another secret. A secret that, once revealed, will change everything. My name is William. I'm 58. All my life, I've only known wood and nails. The plane, the saw. People said I was dry, cold. But I knew how to turn a lifeless piece of wood into something someone might keep for a lifetime. My wife, Emily, used to tell me, "You don't have to say I love you all the time. Just make me another table, another chair. I'll understand." We went through the hard years together. 10 years of work, before I had enough to buy this house. The day we moved in, Emily stood in the living room, covered her face, and cried. And I just smiled quietly. I was never the kind of man to cry. But that day, my heart shook like a boy in love for the first time. We had one daughter, Sarah. She grew up here, under my strict hand, and her mother's gentle arms. I worked myself to the bone. But every night I came home, sat on the long bench. Sarah would climb on my back and fall asleep on my shoulder. I thought my whole life would stay that way. But fate never shows mercy. Emily got sick. Her last 2 years, I worked and I cared for her. Late at night, when the house was quiet, I went into the workshop. I built one last chair, not to sell, but just for Emily. The day she sat in it, she held my hand, smiled weakly. "You did well," she whispered. "Sitting here feels like the whole world is holding me." A few months later, she was gone. From then on, that chair became my refuge. Every night I sat there, closed my eyes, and felt as if Emily was still near. That chair kept a part of my life from vanishing. Time passed. Sarah grew up, left for school, then came back after graduation. I thought maybe my loneliness was over, but Sarah didn't return alone. She brought Daniel, her husband. Daniel looked lively, smooth talker. At first, I tried to accept him. I told myself, as long as Sarah's happy, I'll stay quiet. But day by day, I saw the truth. Daniel couldn't hold a job for more than a few months. One project after another, all failures. The house started relying on my savings. I endured. I thought, I'm close to retirement. If my daughter still smiles, I can take the loss. But the loss grew bigger. At dinner, I sat silent, listening to them dream about plans that would never work. Sometimes I wanted to speak up, but Sarah would glance at me, gently say, "Dad, let Daniel decide." Every night, I withdrew into the armchair, the only place still mine. Until one evening, Daniel brought home a furniture magazine. He pointed at a glossy sofa. "We should change the house like this. That old chair is ugly, outdated, doesn't fit anymore." Sarah gave a nervous smile. But in the end, she said it too. "Dad, maybe we should put the chair away. The house needs to feel brighter now, not keep reminding us of Mom." Her words crushed my chest like a fist. I said nothing, just slammed the spoon on the table. The clang of metal echoed in the silence. Daniel shrugged, forced a laugh. It's just a chair, Dad. Just a chair? No. To me, it was a lifetime. From that day on, the air in the house changed. Daniel started sitting in the chair whenever I stood up. One time, he even set his beer on the armrest. I snatched it away, shouted, "Don't ever do that again." Sarah gasped, pulled his arm. But the look in her eyes wasn't blame for Daniel. It was blame for me, for raising my voice. That night, I sat in the dark, arms wrapped around the chair, and for the first time in my life, I felt lost. Lost inside my own home. I once thought losing my wife was the worst thing that could happen. But no, worse is still having your daughter right in front of you and feeling like you've already lost her. After that night, Daniel brought his friends over and let some drunk man flop down in the armchair. There wasn't a peaceful day in the house. I still sat there each morning, coffee in hand, but it wasn't quiet anymore. Just the sound of Daniel's footsteps passing the chair would tighten my chest. One weekend morning, I walked into the living room and found Daniel with a tape measure, measuring the chair top to bottom. Sarah sat on the sofa, flipping a furniture magazine, eyes lit with interest. "We should switch to a 3-seater sofa. It'll make the room look brighter," Daniel said. Then he turned to me with a polite smile. "What do you think, Dad?" I looked at the tape in his hand, then at Sarah. "What do you think?" I asked. Sarah put the magazine down. Her voice got small. "Dad, that chair is old. Mom's been gone a long time. I just want the house to feel more comfortable." The coffee cup in my hand trembled. Those words, so light, hit my heart like a hammer. That night, I sat in the living room. Lights off. Moonlight spreading on the floor. I looked at the chair and suddenly remembered Christmas when Sarah was 8. We took a photo in front of the fireplace. Emily holding Sarah on the chair. Me standing behind. That framed picture still hangs in the hallway. Now every time I walk past it, I can't help asking myself, when did the chair that once anchored our family become a thorn in our daughter's eyes? Sarah stood in the doorway. She watched me a long time, then said, "Dad, I can't see you sad like that anymore. Every time I see you sit there, I feel scared, like Mom never left. I can't take it." My voice broke when I turned to her. "Sarah, I don't keep the chair to deny that your mother is gone. I keep it because, if I throw it away, I'll have nothing to hold on to. Do you know what she said the first time she sat in it? Sitting here, it feels like the whole world is leaning on my back. Asking me to throw it away is like asking me to throw the whole world away." Sarah didn't answer. She turned and left. I knew she was hurting too, but it was her kind of hurt, not mine. Another evening, I just sat down when Daniel came over with a cup of tea. "Have some tea, Dad. Warm you up. I know you miss her. I care about you too," he said. I hesitated, then took the cup. Daniel had never been that gentle, but after one sip, he sat across from me, smiling thinly. "Dad, I just think, if we change the furniture, the house will feel less sad. Sarah will be more comfortable. Isn't that better for everyone?" I put the cup down, said nothing. He pulled out his phone and pretended to scroll. But when he stood, I caught a glimpse of the screen. A chat message, clear as day. "The old chair? I'll arrange pickup soon." I felt cold all over. He brought tea and quietly planned to sell the chair. Not long after, Daniel invited friends again. I heard loud laughter from the living room. When I stepped out, a man sat in the chair, legs up on the armrest, shouting, "Whoa, this is comfy. Classic chair for real." Blood rushed to my head. I grabbed the beer can from his hand and snapped, "Get up. Don't you ever sit there again." The room went silent. Daniel gave a forced smile. "Dad, my friend didn't know. Just let it go." I looked right at him. "You know, and you're using this chair. Don't pretend." Sarah ran out, pulled her husband's arm, her eyes accusing me. "Dad, stop. It's just a chair." Just a chair. Those words cut like a knife. One morning, I found a stack of papers on the table. I opened them and froze. Insurance files, house documents, signatures, William. But not my handwriting. I stormed into Sarah's room, thrust the papers at her. "Explain this. What is this?" She grabbed them, stammering. "Dad, Daniel told me to prepare them, for convenience." I slammed my hand on the table. My voice shook but was firm. "This is forged. Don't you understand? If you let this go, One day you and Daniel will push me out of my own house." Sarah burst into tears. "Dad, I just want peace. I can't stand the family tension over the chair." I watched her cry. My chest felt hollow. "Daughter, what kind of peace is that if the price is me disappearing?" The next day, I left the house for a day. I rented a cheap room and sat all day staring at a stained wall. No one called to ask where I was. I came back that evening, and the sight took my breath away. The chair had been dragged against the wall, covered with a white sheet, as if they wanted to erase it from sight, as if they wanted to erase my existence. I pulled the sheet away, collapsed into the chair, and laughed bitterly. To them, I'm just like this chair, cover it up, and I'm gone. Late at night, I heard whispers in the hallway. I stepped out and found Daniel on the phone, his voice low. "Yeah, tomorrow at 2. Yes, the armchair. Get the truck ready. Main Street Antiques. Remember." I stood frozen. The house was dark. His whispering words cut like knives. No more doubt. Daniel had arranged for the chair to be picked up. Not a rumor, not fear, the fact. I looked at the chair in the living room, moonlight on worn wood, the shadow stretching long on the floor. I laid my hand on it, and one thought filled my head. Tomorrow, they'll take everything, and I have to do something. From the night I heard Daniel whispering on the phone, my sleep stopped being peaceful. I sat up through the night, watching the chair, eyes wide, listening to the smallest sound in the yard. The armchair was no longer a seat. It had become the last border between me and my own daughter. The next morning, I took a heavy chain from the garage, wrapped it around the chair's legs, locked it to the table. When Sarah came out, her eyes went wide. "What are you doing, Dad? This isn't a storage room," she said. I answered, my voice rough from a sleepless night. "I'm not letting anyone touch it." Daniel walked in just then. He looked at the chain and scoffed. "You're over the top, Dad. It's just an old chair." I straightened, looked him in the eye. "No, it's a treasure, and I'll protect it to the end." The air got thick. Sarah stood between us, pale, hands shaking as if she didn't know who to pull toward. That night I heard crying in Sarah's room. I knocked and whispered, "Sarah, are you okay?" She opened the door, eyes red. "Dad, I don't know what to do. I love Daniel, but I don't want to lose you. Every time I see the chair, I remember Mom. I can't stand it. I just want a peaceful home." My hand went to her shoulder. My chest tightened. "Child, I don't keep the chair to cling to the past. I keep it because if I throw it away, I'll have nothing left of your mother. You asked me to choose between memory and family. Do you understand how cruel that is?" Sarah pressed her face to her hands and sobbed. She didn't argue. Her silence told me she was trapped in this fight too. One afternoon, I came back from work at the shop and found Daniel dragging the chair near the door. He was looping rope around its legs, getting ready to tie it up. I threw my bag down, rushed over, and snatched the rope from his hands. "What are you doing?" I snapped. Daniel smirked. "Preparing for tomorrow, so they can pick it up, save time." I planted myself in front of the chair, voice low and hard. "As long as I live, no one's taking it." He stepped closer, face inches from mine. "You old man, what right do you think you still have here? This is our house now. You're just clinging on." My fists tightened. Then I stopped. If I hit him, I'd lose everything. So I stood there like a wall, blocking the chair. Sarah ran from the kitchen, screaming, "Stop, both of you, stop!" She collapsed between us, clutching both our hands. The room felt heavy enough to suffocate. That night, I heard her in the bedroom, talking to herself through the cracked door. "I'm so tired. Every time I see the chair, I breathe in Mom and it chokes me. I want to keep Dad, but if I stand against Daniel, I'll lose my husband. I'm not strong enough to choose. I don't know what to do." Those words broke me. I wanted to hold her, but my feet felt nailed to the floor. Her pain was different from mine, but no less fierce. I sat again in the chair, closed my eyes, and memories poured in. Emily in the old kitchen, hands cooking. Little Sarah spinning around the chair, laughing. Emily turning, teasing. "William, this chair is our throne. Everyone loves to sit in it." That memory was so clear, so real that my chest ached. Now that throne was something they wanted to throw away. Sarah tried to arrange a family dinner to make peace. She forced a smile, urged me to eat more. I stayed silent. Then Daniel spoke up. "Dad, I contacted the furniture store. They're ready to replace it. Free delivery." I slammed the knife down. My voice cracked like thunder. You think I'll agree to that? Daniel smiled coldly. Dad, stubbornness won't help. What's one old chair worth if it saves the family? I looked straight at him. If it's just a chair, why do you want it gone so badly? Silence fell at the table. Sarah bowed her head, tears falling. The next day, I came home to find the chair dragged to the door, covered with a white sheet. Ropes and tape lay scattered around. Hands shaking, I pulled the sheet off and fell into the chair. The wood creaked, one long sigh. I looked around the room. Everything felt strange. I thought, to them, I'm like this chair, cover it up. Pretend I'm gone. Late that night, I heard a sound in the hall. I stepped out and saw Daniel sticking a paper behind the Christmas photo that hangs on the wall. He didn't know I was there. When he left, I crept over. The paper gleamed. Delivery ticket, tomorrow, 3:00 p.m. Item, armchair, address, 45 Main Street. He'd placed it right behind that old family photo. Emily, little Sarah on the chair. I stood frozen. Past and present pressed together. The photo holding memory. The ticket stealing the now. I reached out, fingers shaking, and touched the glass. I whispered, Emily, tomorrow they'll take everything. If I don't do something, I'll lose you, and I'll lose our daughter too. The room sank back into silence. Only the watch in my pocket ticked, counting down. The wall clock pointed to 2:55. My heart pounded with each tick of the second hand. Outside the gate, the roar of a truck. I rushed out, stood blocking the yard. Two heavy-set men jumped down, delivery slip in hand. Mr. William, we're here for the chair. I shook my head, voice firm. No one takes it. It's mine. Daniel came running, waving the slip. I ordered it. This is my house, my wife's house. Take it. Sarah appeared, panicked, eyes red. Stop, please, don't do this. No one listened. Shouts, footsteps, the whole yard trembling. I clutched the chain around the chair, my body shaking. Daniel lunged, tearing at the chain. The movers started forward, until I roared. This house still carries my name. Step in, and you're trespassing. They froze, looked at each other. Daniel screamed. This old man is just clinging to the past. It's a rotten chair. What's worth keeping? I gripped the chain tighter. Each word pressed through my teeth. It's blood and flesh of this family, something you'll never understand. Then, in the struggle, the cushion tore loose. Something slipped out, hit the floor with a dull crack. Everything went silent. I bent down. My hands trembled as I picked it up. A yellowed envelope, dusty. With handwriting I knew by heart, Emily. Breath caught in my throat. Fingers shaking, I tore it open. Inside, a letter and a will. My voice broke as I read aloud. William, if I'm no longer here, this chair will be where you find me. I've hidden the papers inside, so Sarah knows. This house belongs to us. No one can take it. Keep the chair, as you keep me. And remember, never trust anyone who could hurt Sarah, even the one who comes into her life after. I stood frozen, tears spilling onto the page. Sarah came close. Her hand shook as she touched her mother's handwriting. She sobbed. Mom. Daniel's face went pale. He lunged, snatching for the letter. No, this is fake. Old papers like this have no legal weight. I clutched it tight, fire in my eyes. You can deny everything, but you can't erase her handwriting. This is her will, and she saw right through you, even then. Sarah stared at her husband, tears streaming. You lied to me. All those times you said it was just a chair. When really, you wanted the whole house? Daniel stammered, voice sharp. I did it for you, for our future. He's just holding us back. Sarah stumbled back, hand over her mouth. Her gaze shattered. She fell to her knees, clutching her head. All these years I defended you, fought with Dad, endured everything, just to protect you. And Mom warned us long ago. Her sobs cut through the air, raw, broken. I stepped forward, wanting to lift her. She pushed my hand away. Her eyes burned at Daniel. I didn't see it. The man I married could be this small. Daniel reached for her. She pulled away, hatred in her eyes. I straightened, raised the letter high. My voice thundered. You say I'm clinging to the past? No, this isn't the past. These are her words, and her words are stronger than all your lies. This chair isn't wood or fabric. It's Emily's heart, the proof of this family, and I will never let you touch it. Daniel roared back. You have no right. I met his eyes. My voice sank low. No, you have no right. This house belonged to me and Emily, not a place for you to steal. The room fell into silence. Evening light streamed through the window. It fell on the armchair. My shadow and Sarah's lay across it, joined as one. Daniel stood back, his shadow swallowed by the corner. And in that moment, I felt Emily there. Not just in the letter, not just in the chair, but in every breath of this house. Sarah turned to me, her voice trembling but sure. Dad, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I won't let anyone touch the chair. I promise. She gripped my hand, cold with tears. I held her close, and for the first time in years, she felt small again, like my little girl. Daniel stood still, rage in his eyes, but powerless. He knew he had lost, not just to the letter, but because Sarah's heart had turned from him. I sat down in the chair, laid the letter on my lap, whispered, Emily, I kept it safe. Not just the chair, I kept our daughter too. The clock ticked on, no longer like a countdown, but like a heartbeat of memory, of life, of hope rekindled. The room sank into a suffocating silence after the twist. Emily's letter lay on the table. The last light of day shone across it, each word glowing. Sarah and I stood side by side. Daniel shrank into the shadows, his eyes burning red. It's not fair, he roared, voice breaking. A scrap of paper, a few lines, and suddenly you all turn against me? Sarah looked at him, tears running down her cheeks. It's not a paper, it's my mother, the truth you tried to bury. Daniel lunged, reaching for the letter in my hands. I blocked him, my voice steady. Enough. The more you fight, the more you prove her right. His body shook with rage. For a moment I thought he'd strike me, but he only clenched his jaw, lowered his hand. His eyes, spitting fire. Sarah drew a long breath, faced him. Her voice trembled, but clear. You said you wanted a future, but you built it on lies. You said you loved me, yet you trampled the most precious memory of my life. From now on, I can't go on with you. Daniel staggered, stammering. You're leaving me? Sarah clutched the letter tight, as if holding her mother's soul. I'm not leaving. You left me the moment you turned on my father, the moment you betrayed my mother. She turned to me, walked slowly, steadily. I opened my arms, held my daughter. Her sobs broke in my chest. My heart pounded, ready to burst. I collapsed into the chair, drained, every ounce of strength gone. But inside, a small fire still burned. I looked at Daniel, my words slow, heavy. You think you lost to me? No. You lost to Emily. You lost to the truth, and you lost to yourself, when you chose greed and lies. A man who can't hold the trust of the woman beside him has nothing at all. I didn't shout. I didn't need to. The words landed like stone. Daniel froze. His lips shook. He couldn't answer. Night fell. Sarah went to her room. I stayed by the chair. Daniel stepped out of the kitchen. His shadow stretched long, his voice low, cold as ice. You think you've won? You've got a chair? I've got youth. I've got the future. I swear. This isn't over. I lifted my eyes to him. I don't need to win. I only keep what's right. If you've got any pride left, walk away before you destroy yourself. Our eyes locked. At last, Daniel turned, slammed his fist into the wall, then vanished into the bedroom. The scrape of luggage woke me. Sarah came out, eyes swollen but steady. Dad, I'll stay with you for a while. I need space to rethink everything. I saw the suitcase. My chest ached. But I knew it was her road to walk. I nodded. This house always has a place for you, always. She hugged me tight, shivering, whispering, I'm sorry I left you alone so long. Daniel appeared. His face went pale at the sight of the suitcase. You're leaving? For him? Sarah turned, her voice calm but firm. Nash, not for Dad, for me. I choose to keep what's still pure. Daniel sneered, bitter, sharp. You think you're strong? You'll regret it. No one wants to live with an old man and his rotten chair. Sarah turned to me, eyes wet, then laid her hand on the chair. I placed mine over hers. Together, we gripped the armrest. She looked Daniel in the eye, her voice cut like steel. This old man is my father. This chair is my mother's blood. And you are nothing. Daniel froze, threw the keys on the table. Keep it. But remember, I'll be back. The door slammed. The sound ripped through the house like a final crack. Silence, heavy. Sarah sat beside me. We didn't speak. We only listened to our hearts. I laid Emily's letter on the table, ran my hand across it, as if touching her face. You see, Sarah, even gone, your mother still knows how to protect us. She buried her face in my shoulder, sobs soaking my shirt. But inside me, the weight lifted. After years, I wasn't alone anymore. Later that night, I stepped outside. Moonlight washed the yard, cold wind in my face. I caught a glimpse of Daniel at the gate, hatred flashing in his eyes. But when he saw me watching, he turned, disappearing into the night. I knew it wasn't over, not yet. But I also knew I wasn't afraid anymore. Because I had Emily, in her letter, and Sarah, by my side. I went back to the living room. Sarah had fallen asleep on the sofa, her hand still resting on the armrest. I sat down. The chair groaned softly beneath me. The sound rose like a familiar whisper, and I swear I heard her voice. You kept your promise, William. Moonlight poured over the chair, over Sarah, over me. And Daniel, the man who once tried to take it all, was nothing more than a shadow, fading into the night. Since the day Daniel left, the house has been quiet again. No more shouting, no more burning stairs. Just me, Sarah, and the old armchair, resting silently in the living room. Each morning I brew a cup of coffee, sit in the chair, watch sunlight spill through the window. The same habit as before, but now without the bitterness of loneliness. Sarah sits on the sofa beside me, a cup of tea in her hand. She doesn't say a word, but her silence brings me peace. Sometimes I wonder, what's a man's life really for? Not for wealth, not to prove he's stronger than others, but to hold on to what he knows is right, even if the whole world stands against him. For me, it's this chair. For someone else, maybe a book, a photo, a small keepsake. The object doesn't matter. What matters is the meaning. It carries love, family, and the kindness we once lived. One afternoon, Sarah placed her hand on the armrest. Tears shimmered in her eyes. She whispered, I used to think this chair only kept you stuck in the past, but now I see. It keeps us together in the same memory. I smiled, set my hand on hers, and in that moment I knew I wasn't fighting alone anymore. At night, when I leaned back, the chair creaked softly. That sound wasn't lonely anymore. It was like a heartbeat, steady, warm, telling me Emily was still here. Sometimes, with my eyes closed, I could almost feel her hand on my shoulder. Gentle, steady. I smiled, let the tears fall. Not from grief, but gratitude. Because true love never disappears. It only changes form, to stay beside us. At times, I still glimpse a shadow outside the gate at night. Maybe a neighbor, maybe Daniel. I don't know, and maybe I don't need to know. Because now I'm not afraid. Storms may return, but this time I have Sarah beside me, and I have Emily in every grain of this chair's wood. That evening, I sat in the chair, Sarah beside me, her head resting on my shoulder. The chair creaked. The sound rose like the heartbeat of all three of us, me, Sarah, and Emily. I whispered, my voice unsteady yet firm. Emily, I kept my promise, and I'll keep it until my last breath. Moonlight spilled into the room, wrapped over us both, casting our shadows onto the chair. And in that light and that darkness, I knew my family, though no longer whole, had never been broken.